Welcome back to another episode of Warren Cali. In this episode, I'm going to detail the tragic story of a woman named Kashmier James. At approximately 10 p.m. on December 25th, 2010, a man named DeAndre and Kashmier were talking on the street in front of DeAndre's home, which was on 85th Street near Western Avenue in LA. They were standing next to DeAndre's car, which Kashmier's 3-year-old daughter was in the car. DeAndre noticed a car with tinted windows driving on the street, and it slowed down when it passed him and Kashmier. The area was dangerous, and it was a well-known violent area, since it was a part of the territory of the A-Tray gangster Crips. About 30 seconds later, DeAndre went to hug Kashmier and saw a spark. Kashmier screamed, "Oh my God," and fell onto DeAndre. DeAndre saw a gunman running towards him and got up and ran. As he ran, he heard several more shots and saw the gunman running towards Western Avenue after the shooting ended. DeAndre wasn't hit by any bullets. A witness was walking in the area and heard several gunshots. He saw a man pointing a gun at a woman and seen several black men fleeing the scene. He saw the woman on the ground and ran to her. Kashmier was shot in the head and she couldn't speak. She pointed towards the car, which her daughter was inside. The witness grabbed her daughter and took her to a woman who lived in a nearby home. Kashmier died from multiple gunshot wounds to her head and her neck. She also was shot multiple times in her legs. 13 shell casings were left at the scene. Police were later able to identify the shooter's car off surveillance cameras from a nearby gas station. A $50,000 reward was offered to the help leading to the arrest of the killers.
An innocent mother gunned down on Christmas Eve in front of her 3-year-old daughter.
Can you help my mommy, please?
In January 2011, two men named Darnell and Lamar were arrested. They were from the Rolling 100 Crips and from 111 neighborhood Crip exactly. Darnell would be put in a cell with an informant, and he would start to run his mouth too much. He mentioned everyone involved, 3 and 3 other members of his gang. Darnell would tell the informant he was an OG in his hood, and he took the younger members on a mission earlier that day, which his little homies missed every shot, so later on, he took them back on another mission, but this time, in the A-Tray gangsters turf. He personally did the shooting to show them how to put in work. Darnell would tell the informant that he didn't care that he killed Kashmier, because she had to be an A-Tray gangster affiliate since he was in that neighborhood. Lamar would tell the informant that he got rid of the guns and the crime. He even would talk about killing younger members because he believed they was going to snitch after he took them on a mission. But the only reason why police had so much evidence because Lamar and Darnell told the informant too much.
Murder of a South Los Angeles mother. She was gunned down in front of her 3-year-old daughter on Christmas night 2010. The trial of her alleged killers began today in downtown LA. Eyewitness News reporter Miriam Hernandez is live with what happened. Miriam?
Well, it took 5 years to get to this day. A total of 4 suspects were arrested today. The trial began for 2 of them. Prosecutors began by taking the jury back in time to a holiday night that turned horrific.
And they did it for their game. And they did it with a gun.
The prosecutor says that Darnell Houston was the shooter, Lamar McKnight, the getaway man. Both are accused in the murder of an innocent mother, 25-year-old Kashmier James, of all times on a Christmas night. The shocking case made headlines 5 years ago. Heart-wrenching when it was learned that James' 3-year-old daughter was right there. Today, the deputy DA tells the jury that James had been visiting a friend there on West 85th Street. Turns out it was gang turf.
That is where Kashmier James last had an opportunity to see her daughter.
She says earlier that night, the defendants, alleged gang members, had been getting grief from a gang leader. In gang lingo, they had not been putting in work.
You will learn that it refers specifically to things like killing people.
Investigators say a witness, Derek Jefferson, overheard the defendants talk.
Mr. McKnight agreed to go put in work right then and there.
The defense counters, asserting the prosecution's key witnesses are former criminals with motives to testify. Tony Johnson, a fellow gang member who police had arrested for meth while on probation.
He lied, he begged, he stole, all along the way, and you'll hear as the story got better.
Another is what is called a confidential, reliable witness who was implanted in the jail as a cellmate.
Paid professional informant to suss out information.
The question for the jury, is there sufficient evidence to tie the defendants to the 13 rounds fired at Kashmier James and her friend that Christmas night, robbing a child of her mother?
With all the evidence against him, a 15-year-old named Derek was questioned and he folded. He admitted to being in the car with Lamar and Darnell, but said he was not a willing participant. He said he was forced to go and that Darnell was the shooter and Lamar was the driver. He even brought up another passenger named Zeke.
Of a mother in front of her young daughter, 3 reputed gang members are headed to prison. The judge handed down their sentence today. Eyewitness News reporter Mark Cota-Robles is live at the courthouse in downtown LA, where the victim's daughter spoke before the judge. Mark.
Leslie Kashmier James was 25 years old when she was shot and killed by those gang members on Christmas night 2010. Her 3-year-old daughter was there that night to witness what happened. This morning, a very emotional sentencing hearing inside a downtown Los Angeles courtroom. Here is some of the video. Darnell Deshaun Houston was the shooter that night. Both he and Lamar McKnight received life sentences without the possibility of parole. The third defendant, Derek Williams, who was 15 years old when the murder happened, was sentenced to 40 years to life in prison. The victim's family had a chance to speak.
Kashmier's daughter was often used in this case, as she was a witness to her mother's death.
Why have you not said you're sorry for taking my mommy away from me? My mommy was the love of my life. I remember that night and it scares me. You are supposed to love people, not hurt and kill them.
With all the evidence against him, this would get Darnell and Lamar life sentences. Derek, who was only a minor at the time of the shooting, he still received 40 years to life. And the last person involved in this case, Zeke, he will receive 29 years. Kashmir lost her life right in front of her daughter for just being in the gang area. RIP to her. This will conclude this episode. If you haven't already, make sure you check out my previous episodes. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.